ready. Yeah, show notes are ready to go. Some last minute channel stuff is done. Hello, everyone out there. Hope you're doing well tonight. Tonight, tomorrow, or whenever it may be, where you are. Whether you're catching me live, looking, or getting it on a replay. Right off the bat, hello there, Silver Rabbit from Space. Greetings and happy almost Thursday. Very cool. And I can go ahead and kill that music. There we go. So yeah, let's see. Yep, I think I've got everything about set here. As you can tell, I'm going to be touching on the latest news, Star Wars news of all things. Disney, the company that just keeps on giving as far as news and content goes. It's the sort of thing I just can't let go without commenting on it. I mean, all the things that have gone on the past few days, George Lucas and his open support, as I put that aside and make as much noise as I can around my desk, his open support of Disney, Disney CEO and Disney board. That's pretty huge, and quite a many of us fans see that as a betrayal. There's no loss of words. People have been expressing about their disappointment with George Lucas. Let's see. Oh, Killer Rabbit saying in 1977, you were 10 years old and your mother took me to see Star Wars. Oh, yes, yes. And I've been happy with everything Disney has done, but I'm not quite ready to write it off just yet. Yeah, I'm not going to come out and say Star Wars is dead. It's as long as we have the original trilogy and we can watch the original trilogy and enjoy it, and we have the Timothy Zahn novels and all the comic books and all the extended universe Star Wars lore, everything that was out there before Disney bought it, we fans have that to enjoy. We don't, it's not dead. It's just not what it was. It's change. Of course, I'm using this Monty Python image here as a kind of made it fit my initial reaction to the George Lucas news and his support for the Disney company. It's disappointing. So yeah, it is an X franchise. It has expired. What Disney has put out has been kind of an insult for a great many Star Wars fans. Of course, you Monty Python fans out there will recognize this image from the X Parrot skit, a Monty Python skit for the X Parrot. As I get a drink of water here. So yeah, like Killer Rabbit from Space here. I also remember seeing it in the theater. My mom took me to the theater in 77 to see it. I was a few years younger than Killer Rabbit, 2 or 3 years younger. But yeah, it was an amazing cultural achievement. I mean, you talk about the landmark event that put science, sci-fi, or sci-fi fantasy on the cultural map. It was Star Wars. You can only have that one experience once in your life. The first time you saw Star Wars, along with Jaws, kicked off the whole summer blockbuster movie trend, spurred a great many imitators out there, a great many films that tried to ride the success of Star Wars. And we're always going to have that. It's not dead. We're always going to have that cultural impact, that those memories. Uh, you always remember where you were the first time you watched Star Wars, the impact it had on you as a sci-fi fan, a new Star Wars fan. So yeah, um, not dead. It's just changed states. Now I'm going to cover a few articles here, of course, covering the whole George Lucas comments. I'll just get right into it. This is what is this? This is a CNBC article. George Lucas backs Disney CEO Bob Iger in proxy fight with Nelson Peltz. March 19th, not too long ago, filmmaker and Hollywood legend George Lucas is endorsing Disney CEO Iger in a bitter proxy battle launched by activist investor Nelson Peltz. So this is kind of new to me. I have had absolutely no idea who Peltz is, what the big deal is. I was aware that Disney was coming under fire from shareholders and whatnot. I haven't been keeping that close track of it. Just haven't been interested in Disney really. It's not. It wasn't on my radar. Let's see. Killer Rabbit saying, "Have you seen the documentary Empire of Dreams? It's a good look at the original trilogy. I have heard of that, and I don't believe I've seen that, but I will have to look that up. That's pretty cool." I know it's Star Wars as a whole has inspired a great many fan films out there, even right down to people who have painstakingly restored the original trilogy, corrected the colors and whatnot, and did that as a labor of love for the original trilogy. As I hit my, excuse me, allergies have been horrid the past few days where I am, and I'm having, from occasion, hit the cough button so I don't blow out anybody's eardrums. Let's see, where was I? Let's see. Oh, yes, George Lucas, currently the largest individual investor in the company. That does not surprise me because Lucas's deal with Disney was cash and stock for Star Wars. Then, of course, he made the famous comment of feeling like he'd sold it off to white slavers. And here he is buddying up with the white slavers. But I'll go through some of these articles, and then I'll get into my thoughts on the matter, because I'll touch on some points here and then get into my commentary on all this. But again, this is like the big news of the week. Everybody's been talking about it. Fans have been collectively wringing their hands and going, "Oh, woe is me," and so on, so on. Yeah, I'm going to wait until I go through these articles and then I'll share my thoughts. Let's see. Filmmaker and Hollywood legend George Lucas throwing his support behind Walt Disney CEO Iger in a bitter proxy battle, so on and so on. Uh, Lucas, who received 37.1 million Disney shares. That's a staggering amount of stock shares. I mean, this is actually the first time I've seen a number associated with his share of the company's stock. That is a good hefty sum as part of Disney's $4.05 billion purchase of Lucasfilm in 2012. Currently, the largest individual investor in the company. And of course, his now infamous quote, creating magic is not for amateurs. There's several different ways I took this quote. Both of them all the ways I took this quote kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Oh yeah, let me get through these articles because I'm trying to stay focused on getting through these and what the big deal is here, and I will share my thoughts afterwards because this is kind of a doozy. Let's see. Disney has lined up a number of high-profile endorsements in its battle against Peltz and his firm. Tryon Fund Management with the heirs of Walt and Roy Disney to J.P. Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon. Okay, this is some big money interest here. All like sharks in the water, circling their target. It's like there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. Let's see. Lucas wrote and created the Star Wars and Indiana Jones franchises. Peltz has asked investors to nominate him and former Disney chief financial officer Ray Russolo to the board at its annual general meeting on April 3rd. Among other things, Peltz wants to overhaul Disney's traditional TV channels, which he thinks have been a shrinking business. Iger, meanwhile, has been trying to streamline the sprawling media company to rein in spending and make its Disney Plus streaming platform profitable. He's instituted broad restructuring, including thousands of layoffs. Yes, I guess if you fire enough people, you will make your company profitable. I've seen that before. That has been around for some time. That tactic has been around for some time. Killed Rabbit saying the documentary is on YouTube. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I will definitely look that documentary up. Empire of Dreams. I have heard of that before, so that will be interesting to check out. This is a giant freaking robot article. Again, very much the same thing. Nelson Peltz and Blackwell's Capital versus Disney. It's staggering to think about the big moneyed interests that are on both sides of this. Magic making. Oh goodness. I didn't mean to crack up over this image of Willow. It's just this line, creating magic is not for amateurs. And then I thought of the Willow TV show and how bad that was. Is this the magic you're talking about, Lucas? Is this the magic? Let's see. Creating magic is not for amateurs, George Lucas said, making a stance with Disney clear. When I sold Lucasfilm just over a decade ago, I was delighted to become a Disney shareholder because of my long-time admiration for its iconic brand and Bob Iger's leadership. So you're just kind of burying that little white slavers comment then, huh? Yeah, that didn't happen. No regrets, huh? When Bob recently returned to the company during a difficult time, I was relieved. Yes, no one knows Disney better. I remain a significant shareholder because I have full faith and confidence in the power of Disney and Bob's track record of driving long-term value. I have voted all of my shares for Disney's 12 directors and urge other shareholders to do the same. And of course, Marvel's former owner is on board. Meanwhile, the activists have gained the support of Ike Perlmutter, a major Disney shareholder and former Disney executive who sold Marvel to Disney in 2009 for $4 billion. So yeah, they bought Lucasfilm for $4 billion. They bought Marvel for $4 billion. It's like billion here, a billion there. Pretty soon you'll be talking about real money. Here we go. I think this is the first time I've seen this. George Lucas acquired approximately $1.8 billion in Disney stock. That was that. What was that? 35 million shares coming out to 1.8 billion, I guess, and then the rest, whatever was left over that made up the 4 billion. That's crazy. Those are some staggering numbers. The money just being thrown around. All right. So the first thing I've started asking is, who is Nelson Peltz? And of course, I come across this Corporate Government Institute website, their article on who is Nelson Peltz and why is he targeting Disney's governance. Let's see. He's an activist investor and has his sights set on Disney. The global media giant's governance record over the last 12 months begs the question, what on earth is going on at its top levels? From a peak share price in early 2021, the company is now flirting with a historic 5-year low, and it isn't short of critics lining up to explain why. Peltz is at the top of the queue. Okay. Is an activist investor worth approximately $1.4 billion. So yeah, he's got some money behind him as well. As with a history of challenging the system and big companies. Peltz co-founded the investing firm Trian Fund Management, through which he has previously acquired sizable stakes in companies like Procter & Gamble and Mondelez International. Okay, Procter & Gamble, that's not a small company either. And he's acquired shares in Procter & Gamble and so the company, and he's got 1.4 billion behind him. He frequently vies for seats on the boards of these companies for more direct influence over the future. He's doing the same at Disney. Often, though, his efforts meet opposition. Okay, what is an activist investor? A person who wants to change how a company is run or managed and has bought the necessary shares to have a chance of doing it. That's interesting. The impact is debatable depending on their motives and how much control they have. Let's see. Back to Disney. It's been a big week. On Wednesday, Mark G. Parker was elected chair at Disney's board. Company held Parker as a well-respected leader whose vision, incredible depth of experience, and wise counsel have been invaluable to Disney. Okay. It was isolated praise, however. A Reuters business piece Tuesday criticized Parker as an odd choice and his appointment a clumsy decision, considering Parker played a role in specific governance problems. Tryon and Peltz are now calling Disney a company in crisis due to its tumbling share price and bumpy governance problems, which it says are self-inflicted. Yes, a great many of us will agree with this. What Disney is doing, what the crisis they're going through right now is self-inflicted. So Peltz is an activist investor. What does he want? Finally, he wants a seat on the board. So far, others in Disney's circles have voted against this, claiming he lacks experience. Oh, this is funny. When I first read this to get the gist of it, I just cracked up laughing because let's go back up the top here. He lacks experience, they say. A man who is worth $1.4 billion co-founded the investing firm Tryon Fund Management and owns sizable stakes in Procter and Gamble and some other companies. But yeah, here they're saying he lacks experience. Oh, that's hysterical. He also wants the company to cut costs and avoid further botched decisions, citing management transition and the overpayment for 20th Century Fox as examples. Separately, he's anxious for the streaming service Disney Plus to turn a profit. Disney Plus launched in 2020 at the height of the pandemic, but CFO Christine McCarthy recently said it won't become profitable before 2024. Does he have a point? Share prices speak for themselves in the investing world, and in 2022 has been a bad year for Disney in that regard. This is despite a moderate increase in price since the start of the year. At that same point, Peltz's negativity won't amount to much without offering alternative solutions. Probably a very good chance that Peltz has some solutions in mind. I mean, given his track record of apparently taking over companies or getting controlling interest in companies and turning them around. Let's see. According to Reuters sources, he has done very little of this so far. His critiques might not have much of a point if he can't suggest new paths forward. What is his ultimate goal? He wants the level of influence he deems necessary to bring about change. In this case, that influence is a board seat. Will he succeed? Anybody's guess at this point, honestly. And that's the end of that article. Okay. Big things going on at Disney. George Lucas, of course, siding with the Disney board and Iger, much to the dismay of many, many fans over the past week. My thoughts on this, my initial impression, was anybody really surprised? I mean, when you sit back about it, and when you sit back and think about it, was anybody really surprised? Honestly, I would have been surprised if if there had been some kind of major shakeup and George Lucas came out and said he wanted to wrest control of Lucasfilm back away from Disney, gain control of it back, and do something new with it. He didn't like the direction. Now that would have been different. That would have been a major shakeup. The term I like to use is hopium. We are all running on hopium, the hope that things would turn around and get better, the hope that Disney would stop doing stupid things with franchises that we all enjoyed over the decades. That didn't happen. I mean, realistically, it all comes down to money. It really comes down to money. The price of Disney stocks. Lucas, my 2 cents on this is that Lucas is not going to do anything to shake the boat. He's the single largest investor in Disney stocks. He has, what did you say? Controlling, maybe not controlling interest in Disney stocks, but he's the single largest individual with a major chunk of Disney stocks. So any kind of, how am I going to put this? He's not going to do anything major to affect the stock prices that affects his bottom line. It all comes down to money and the prices of Disney stocks. He's not going to do anything to rock the boat. He's not going to do anything to upset the apple cart, make stock prices plummet, because that affects his bottom line. That affects his bank account. Now, him buddying up to the so-called white slavers in Disney, his term that he used when he sold it off, his buddying up to them is going to be a stabilizing effect, I imagine, on Disney stocks. Perhaps for the short term. We have no idea what's going to happen long term. Nobody's going to have any drastic moves. Nobody's going to have a drastic corporate shakeup. Now that's what we were hoping for, but yeah, it's realistically, this is what's going to happen. What happened is what was going to happen. Him buddying up with the corporate structure in Disney, siding up with them, and saying, I support them. Disney is it. He supports Disney, which to me is kind of disappointing, because the more I learn about Disney as a corporation, the more I can't support the things that they promote. I would like to see Disney do a major course correction and turn away from some of the junk that they've been promoting, but it's not going to happen, which is unfortunate, because I imagine a great many of us are getting kind of tired of decrying Disney's bad decisions. I'd actually like to come on a live stream and say, "Oh, look at this! What Disney's done. That's great. They're going a whole new direction. They're doing some great things." But no, Disney is being Disney. Now it comes down to the question many of us fans are asking ourselves the past few days: like, are you fed up as a fan? Is this your last straw with Disney Star Wars? Now, is this your last straw with Star Wars as a whole? Because as a whole, Star Wars is not dead. Disney Star Wars, that is another question. That's something every fan out there is going to have to answer for themselves. Like, is this your last straw? Have you did you just lose all hope there'd be a major course correction? We can wring our hands and cry and bemoan a beloved entertainment franchise, or we could simply just let it go and move on. We have the original films, we have the comic books, we have the novels. Star Wars as a whole is not dead. Now, I would say this is really the perfect time, the perfect opportunity to one, vote with your wallet, vote with your time, vote with your viewing hours, and not watch anything Disney's going to put out there. Whatever it is, whatever Dave Filoni is going to churn out, whatever he's going to promote, don't watch it. Just ignore it. And that aspect, in that regards, Disney Star Wars is dead. It's we all knew where they're going with it since 2012 when they bought it from Lucas. We've seen the Disney trilogy and how awful those were. This, for many of us, I suspect, it probably cements your position, your views on Disney. So where does this leave us moving forward as fans? That's probably the important question is what's next? I'm going back to the quote that Lucas said about creating magic is not for amateurs. Well, yeah, you're right, George. It's not for amateurs. It's for creative people who have a passion for the craft they're in, whether it be art, writing, painting, sculpting, drawing, creating comic books, writing novels, writing screenplays. That's creating magic. That's creating art. People who have a creative spark to them, who have a passion, a drive, somebody who's willing to set out on their own, blaze a new path that they've never been down before. Everyone starts in the same place. You just pick your favorite artist, your favorite writer, novelist, musician, and there was a period of time in their lives where they were working on their very first piece of art, their very first novel, their very first comic book, the very first panel of comic book art, the first sentence they wrote in their first novel. Now, everybody starts someplace. So, yeah. In that regard, I'd say George Lucas is right. It's not for amateurs, it's for passionate creatives. Much like George Lucas was at one time. At one time, he was passionate about filmmaking and he created one of the best movie franchises ever. Something that had a huge cultural impact. Something that caught the attention, the imagination of millions of fans throughout the world. Now, sometimes I find myself questioning George Lucas if he still has that passion, if he still has that spark, that creativity. I imagine he does. I mean, there have been numerous photos of him on the sets for shows like The Mandalorian or what have you, whatever Disney Star Wars is churning out. He is active in that. I don't know what kind of input he has, but even George Lucas may still have that passion to create art, something new. Earlier in the live stream, I had mentioned this quote and how it kind of rubbed me the wrong way for a number of reasons. The first one was it was kind of belittling to those who are, say, aspiring writers, aspiring comic book creators, novelists, what have you, artists. Oh, aha. Checking out the chat. Hello, Wendy Trauma Warrior. Hello there. Thank you for joining me tonight. Very cool to see you here. This is the first time you hopped in my chat, I do believe. Let's see. As I was, where was I? Pontificating about, oh, yes, how this quote just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Let me pull it back up here. Let's see, where was it? Oh, yes, creating magic is not for amateurs. Where do I even start? Okay, very first thing I thought of was that is awfully elitist to say. It's like not everybody can create magic. It's for us, the elite, the entertainment, the Hollywood elite. That's kind of where I was thinking of it at first. Like almost as if a way to say that you little people, you common folk, can't create magic. You can't create art. Leave it up to us and Hollywood, the entertainment industry. We will create things for you and you'll enjoy it. You'll buy it. You'll enjoy it. You'll dig it. We'll take whatever, slap Star Wars on it, and you'll just buy it right up. So that was one of my gut reactions to that quote. I don't know if it was like a particularly bad take, but that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. That's one of my lines of thinking behind that. It's like you can't create something unless you're in that Hollywood industry. You can't get anywhere unless you're there with them working on their projects. No, you don't count. So yeah, that's just kind of how I saw it the first time I saw that quote. I don't believe he really intended it like that. I think he's just this was George Lucas's reaction to uh, Peltz's trying to take away Lucas's controlling interest in Disney because this is Peltz trying to get a foothold in Disney and the corporate structure. And it's a direct threat to George Lucas because, of course, Lucas having 37.1 million Disney shares. And here along comes Peltz saying, oh, I want a piece of that pie. So, yeah, this is Lucas trying to put a stop to it. It's like, no, you're not getting a piece of my pie. Go elsewhere. Let's see. Catching up on chat. Wendy Trauma Warrior, you can't sleep. Oh, yep. As I like to joke, I do these late night streams because I am weaponizing my insomnia. I will eventually go to sleep at like 2 or 3 a.m. only to get up at like, I don't know, 3 hours later and hit the day. Get run. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. I can speak sometimes. Now I'll get a few hours of sleep, then I'll get up and get going throughout the day. Then, like, fumble along my evenings and do something and get back up, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. Ah, lemon pie. Hello. Once again, thank you all for joining me tonight, whether you're live in chat, lurking out there, or you catch me on a replay. Do appreciate y'all taking time out and checking out my live streams. Let's see, where was I? Going back to my show notes. Sometimes my train of thought derails. Now, there's like I was saying, there's just many different ways this quote of his rubs me the wrong way, and I imagine it does that for a great many creatives out there. Let's see. So, for us fans, what is the future for Star Wars? I mean, what I always try to look at the positive aspects of things like this, even if it's bad news. Like, what is a positive spin you could say about this? Really, this is really the perfect time for you creatives out there to um, put pen to paper and start writing something, or realistically sitting in front of your laptop or your computer, banging away on your keyboard. Uh, this is a perfect time to write that movie script you've had in your head for ages. This is a perfect time to write that novel you've always wanted to write. This is a perfect time to start creating panels in a comic book you've been wanting to create. This is a perfect time to create something new. There's somebody out there who is going to be the next George Lucas. There's somebody out there who's going to be the next Terry Pratchett, the next Chris Claremont, the next famous comic book artist, the next George Lucas, Timothy Zahn, DC Fontana. I mean, pick an artist, a novelist, a writer, a comic book artist. There's always going to be somebody new. We're just waiting for somebody out there to create the next big franchise, the next Star Wars, the next Star Trek, the next Babylon 5, the next Farscape. Now, this is where entertainment is going. We won't have new Star Wars, and that's all right. Like I was saying, Star Wars isn't dead. We have the original trilogy. We have the Timothy Zahn novels. We have the comic books. We have all of the Star Wars EU novels, literature, everything. That's all out there. And there are creatives who are still writing something new. Now, this is a perfect opportunity to create. This is the perfect opportunity to come up with the next big franchise that will shape and mold the culture. It may not have the impact that Star Wars had, it may not have the cultural impact that, say, Jaws had, or James Bond, or Star Trek. But yeah, creativity is always there. That's my takeaway from this. This is what I wanted to put out there. Is like, no need to worry about what they're doing in Hollywood, what Disney's doing. I just ignore all that. I mean, there's very little point in getting worked up and excited about what Disney's doing or not doing. It's unfortunate that we're not going to have new Star Wars or good Star Wars, but there's something new out there waiting. Well, perfect example. I'm not a Zack Snyder fan. He had his pitch for a Star Wars movie. He got turned down, and he took his pitch and turned it into Rebel Moon. Now, what can be said about Rebel Moon that has already been said by so many others? It was pretty bad. It's nothing I'm going to cheer or celebrate, but I do appreciate the energy and the passion Snyder had in creating Rebel Moon. He wanted to create something new. He wanted to create his version of Star Wars, and he did just that. Well, he tried to. There's a difference between creating something and having it hit the mark. And yeah, I don't even know where I was going to go with that. It's just that level of creativity. We need more people out there wanting to create their own Star Wars. Star Wars is dead. Long live the future Star Wars. If you're a creative yourself, this should spur you. This should be inspiration to you to get out there and create something new. Whether it's a comic book, a novel, a screenplay, what have you. Nah. So much creativity, so much inspiration. And that's really what we need. Because look at all the franchises that have come and gone over the past 50, 60 years. They've all run their course. Star Trek, Star Wars, Doctor Who. What else could you say? Those are the big ones. Doctor Who has been trashed. It's considered a dead franchise. Star Trek, there's some terrible things going on with Star Trek. Star Wars, it's there in Disney form. It depends on if you enjoy watching Disney's take of Star Wars. Yeah, those are the big three, but there are so many other smaller franchises. There's like Babylon 5, Farscape, those universes, those playgrounds to play in. Or you could always take inspiration, like I said, and create your own universe. Let me check. Aha. In the chat, I see hello, Melted Copper. Good night, good morning, wherever you may be, whichever time zone you may be in. Cool to see you here, man. Let's see, how long have I been rambling on here? Okay, not quite the hour mark. Let's see, a good laugh. How to end this on a good laugh. Knew I wasn't going to go terribly long. I just wanted to come on long enough to talk about the Star Wars news of the week, share my thoughts and opinions on the matter, kind of pontificate some on some points. Star Wars isn't dead, right? I mean, there is something coming up that should fill everybody with a ray of hope, right? Let's see. What is coming up for Star Wars? What could they possibly put out now that will revive the brand? Oh, that's right. Look at that. This is going to be so good. Oh, yes. If you're a reviewer that you love reviewing stuff, this is going to be a field day for many of us. This is almost as exciting as the Ahsoka show. Aren't you looking forward to this? Star Wars will be saved by this. And yes, that is sarcasm. Oh goodness. I mean, this is where we're headed, right? We've gone from uh, corporate power plays and Disney corporate whatnot to bad Disney TV shows, and now we have the Acolyte. Let's see, Melted Copper saying Lucas sold Disney a sinking boat they never truly revived, and contractually Lucas has, yeah, I did touch on that earlier. He has a pretty sizable chunk of Disney stock, so yes, he's not going to do anything to rock the boat, so to speak. He has to come out there and say everything's peachy, everything's all sunshine and rainbows, everything's great, nothing wrong here. Yeah, he can't rock the boat because it's going to affect his bank account. It's going to affect his bottom line. Now, if he wasn't in that position, if he didn't have 1.8 billion or whatever in Disney stock, uh, what was it? I can't remember the number now. It was like 31 million shares of Disney stock or something crazy like that. Oh yes, ultimately Disney Star Wars is all about the prequels. Yeah, well, didn't the prequels Lucasfilm did the prequels before he sold it to Disney, so those prequel movies are different. But yeah, I can see what you're saying. They're going to go down. They're going to try connecting the prequels to the Disney trilogy, and they're going to try to fill in the gaps their way instead of uh, pretty much adapt the EU novels by Timothy Zahn and so many others, all the lore, the pre Disney lore. They're going to ignore that and come out and say, "Oh, we don't have anything new really to go on. We don't have any source material like that." Now infamous quote from Kathleen Kennedy, where she said, "Oh, we just don't have any source material or any novels to draw on." And creating Star Wars, we have to come up with new characters. And everybody's like, well, how about these novels? How about these comic books? These decades worth of comic books and so on and so on. Now, they completely ignore that, all the while they're cherry picking ideas from those novels, like Thrawn and whatnot. Yeah, they cherry pick ideas and take those ideas and try to work them in their own Star Wars projects. So yeah, I don't know. Uh, let's see, what time is it? I can feel myself starting to drag after pontificating some or rambling on quite a bit here about all this. I don't believe I'll really touch on Disney in future live streams much longer. I plan on largely ignoring them. I don't believe I'm going to. Well, I'm already ignoring Disney's Marvel TV shows, largely ignoring just about anything Star Wars. Now they can create. Yeah, Melda Copper saying 6 minutes to don't feed the Mogwai. Windy Trauma Warrior sipped on some brandy. You're going to try to go to sleep yourself. Good night. That's cool. Thank you for joining me tonight. I'm kind of winding down my live stream as well. Probably going to end it pretty soon. Melted Copper, I am learning this live streaming world. Yeah. Yeah, the future for Disney Star Wars, I'm indifferent. I think a great many of us fans have become completely disenfranchised with Disney and what they're planning on doing. There's so many good franchises out there that if you haven't explored, feel free to explore them. I will always recommend shows like Babylon 5 and Farscape, Stargate SG-1. Uh, there's a lot of hopeful news out there, particularly with Babylon 5. J. Michael Straczynski, the creator of Babylon 5, was working on uh, a continuation or reboot, as it were, of Babylon 5. So that should be really interesting. We may or may not get new Farscape. It's been 25 years since the first run of Farscape. There's always been talk of a continuation of that series. There's lots of talk about Stargate SG-1. That's a huge franchise. Maybe new series coming down the pipe for Stargate SG-1 or a future Stargate TV show. Lots of exciting things to look forward to. We might even get something really crazy and have some good Star Trek, but that's almost on the same level of Star Wars for me. Melted Copper saying, I don't think Andor survives the beach, and a what if story would be fun. Bring the actors from Solo. Yeah, well, that depends on what Disney wants to do with their version of Star Wars. What they want to do with it, it's no telling. I have absolutely no idea. And honestly, no real interest in Disney Star Wars. What I've sat through Disney Star Wars has been pretty bad. Andor, Obi-Wan, the Obi-Wan show, the Ahsoka show, those have all been pretty bad. The Acolyte, zero interest. But let's see. I'm going to wrap it up here. So I want to go through the chat and say hello to everyone who joined me tonight. Let's see. First in the door, Killer Rabbit. Hello there. And then there was Wendy Trauma Warrior, who also couldn't sleep. There was Lemon Pie. Melted Copper. Let's see, who else was there? That was it. Don't believe I've missed anybody. That was great. Thank you all for joining me tonight. It is very cool to see you guys in the chat and hanging out for a bit. Thank you all so much. I do appreciate it. Let's see, what will I be doing in the next few days? Of course, Friday afternoons, there's usually a good chance I will be on the Comic Relief Crusaders live stream. That's always a blast. And then Saturday afternoons, I am continuing my comic book related live streams where it's all things comic books. Usually 2 to 3 or 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time, though I am toying with the notion of starting at mid-morning, like 10 a.m., depending on how my scheduling goes. or what all I have going on Saturdays. But that has been pretty fun doing a dedicated comic book related stream on Saturday afternoons. I don't know what I'll be doing this coming Saturday. I will think of something fun or entertaining and touch on something. I don't know. As I joked with Comic Relief Crusader, I really don't know what I'm doing from one stream, from one show to the next. I just make it up as I go along. Let's see. And before I really start dragging here, I'll just say good night, all. It has been a blast to see you here. Until next time, everyone, don't waste your time on bad entertainment. If you don't like a TV show or a movie, don't watch it. There's plenty of stuff out there that is fun and entertaining and highly recommended. Until next time, everyone. Later.